Hey, what's going on, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Should the Dodgers trade for Matt Olson? We're going to talk about that in just a second, but quick reminder, for all things Dodger baseball all offseason long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. It really helps out the channel. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day. Should the Dodgers aggressively pursue a trade for Matt Olson if they can sign Freddie Freeman, or would you rather have Olson instead of Freeman, or should they not worry about signing another first baseman? Let me know down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So once the MLB lockout ends, it's going to be a fire sale up in Oakland. It looks like right now the A's have been there, done Matt, and they're willing to trade all-star first baseman Matt Olson. John Heyman tweeted out a few weeks ago, A's said to be shooting for the moon in early Matt Olson trade talks. Can't blame them. 39 home runs, 911 OPS, 5.8 WAR, 2 years till free agency. So what I've learned in covering this game is when there's smoke, there's usually fire. When it comes to Matt Olson, the Oakland A's, it's clear at this point that they're going to have a teardown up in Oakland. There's a really good chance at this point that Oakland is going to be dealing some of their best players. Players like first baseman Matt Olson, third baseman Matt Chapman, pitchers like Frankie Montas, Chris Bassett, and Sean Manaea, amongst others. I think it would behoove the Oakland A's to try to ship these players out before the season starts, even before spring training, because some of them will lose value during the season, and I think it's time for some of these players to make their way out of Oakland. And now I think if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, Matt Olson does make a lot of sense because, one, he is a power lefty bat. He brings you the thunder from the left side. You saw what he was able to do last season, make his first all-star team. He improved in so many different areas that we're going to get into in just a second. But the Dodgers, they lost Corey Seager, and Corey Seager was a very productive player from that side of the plate. But Matt Olson, he can give you more power. He can give you more home runs, and on top of being one of the best offensive first basemen in the game, he's also one of the best defensive first basemen in the game. He's a multi-time Gold Glove Award winner at 1B. Now, your first question is, well, we already have Max Muncy. He's an all-star first baseman. Hell, he even looked like a Gold Glove caliber first baseman during stretches last season. Well, one, there's still tons of uncertainty about Max Muncy. How is he going to respond? Is he going to look like the same player? Is he going to have a season like Cody Bellinger had in 2021 coming off that shoulder surgery? Is he going to still be the same player? And two, you still have to replace the production of Corey Seager from the left side. And then also, Max Muncy can play second base. He can play third base. So I don't want the Dodgers to limit themselves because they already have Max Muncy. If you need a power left-handed bat, if you need another productive player that can get it done and start to fill some of the void that Corey Seager left, you have to pursue that as an option. Now, we talked about Kyle Schwarber as an option last week as far as another lefty bat that can give you some pop, but what's his weakness? He's terrible defensively. Well, that is not the case with Matt Olson. Like I said, one of the best defenders in the league, so you don't have to worry about that. And then also, what's going on with Freddie Freeman? Are the Dodgers a real possible landing spot for Freddie Freeman? Will the Braves truly let him go? I definitely think it is a possibility. I definitely think the Dodgers are in the mix, but you got to include the New York Yankees because the New York Yankees have been rumored to be interested in trading for Matt Olson, so that tells me they're also interested in potentially signing Freddie Freeman. So it'll be interesting to see if Matt Olson, Freddie Freeman either end up with the Dodgers or the Yankees, and how about the Braves? Will they look to trade for Matt Olson? Because that's also been a rumor as well. Of course, Matt Olson, he's a Georgia native, and there's been a lot of talk that the Braves, if Freddie Freeman were to get away, that would be what they would like to pivot to, is try to bring home Matt Olson. So if you're the Dodgers in all this, you sit back and say, hey, we need another left-handed bat. Yes, they both happen to be first basemen, but Freddie Freeman and Olson, they're both elite defensively. We know the Dodgers value that. And then don't forget, based on everyone you talk to, everything you hear, we are going to have the DH next year in the National League. So that'll allow the Dodgers some more flexibility when it comes to moving guys around. But when it comes to Olson versus Freeman, one of the big pros for Olson is, one, he's under 2 more years of team control. He's set to make $12 million next season. And also, he's a young guy. He's still just 27 years old. Freeman is going to cost you $180 million most most likely. He's 32 years old, so you wonder, are his best days behind him? How many great years does he still have in front of him? And then with Matt Olson, like I said, you still have some prime years left. He'll turn 28 in late March of next year, and the Dodgers won't be committed long term. Now, I'm going to tell you how much it could cost the Dodgers to pull off a trade for Matt Olson in just a second. But first, you know I bring my facts to the fight, so let's take a deep dive into his numbers last season, and let's see just how good of a player Matt Olson really is. So Matt Olson had himself a hell of a 2021 season. The 27-year-old further established himself as one of the premier first basemen in the game, and this is how he ranked among big league first basemen last season. He had a 271 batting average, that was good for 9th, a 371 on base percentage, good for 6th, a 540 slug, good for 3rd, 39 home runs, good for 2nd, 111 ribbies, that was tied for 2nd, a 379 WOBA, that was good for 6th, a 269 isolated power, that was good for 4th, a 146 WRC plus, that was good for 2nd, and a 5 FWAR, that was also good for 2nd. So just look at his numbers compared to the other elite first basemen in the game. Save for Vladdy Guerrero Jr., he's right at the top. The FWAR 5, the WRC plus 146, the home runs 39. So this guy really has established himself as not just a great defensive first baseman, but you saw the offensive numbers go up across the board. And why was that? Look no further than that strikeout rate. Last year, a career low 16.8% K percentage, and that was a massive, massive improvement from 2020. In 2020, he had a 31.4 K percentage, so to bring that down to 16.8, he almost chopped that in half. He has a career 23.4 K percentage. He really saw the results last season from a much more disciplined approach at the plate. He wasn't expanding the zone as much, and he was having more success against heaters. In 2020, he had 207 against fastballs. Last season, he had 283 against fastballs. Also raised that slug from 474 to 581 against heaters. Then also much more success against breaking stuff. Last season, he had 248 against breaking stuff with a 490 slug. In 2020, he had 143 against breaking balls with a 347 slug. Now, if you look at his 2021 MLB percentile rankings, he was in the 87th percentile in average exit velocity, the 90th percentile in expected WOBA, the 83rd percentile in barrel percentage, the 95th percentile in max exit velocity, the 87th percentile in hard hit percentage, the 85th percentile in X slug, the 92nd percentile in walk percentage. And I can't stress this enough when it comes to Matt Olson. Just look at that K percentage. He's now in the 76th percentile. Last year, he was in the 9th percentile. It was one of the biggest drop-offs in the history of the game for qualified hitters when it comes to slicing your K percentage nearly in half. You see that chase rate there down at 76th percentile, the whiff rate 64th percentile, sprint speed, yeah, 28th percentile, not very impressive, outs above average, and the 63rd percentile. If you look at his Fangraph steamer projections for next season, they have him slashing 258, 361, 522 with a 371 WOBA, a 140 WRC plus, 4.6 FWAR, and you see that walk percentage down to 12.7. They think that strikeout percentage is going to go up to 20.6%. So still nothing like that 31.4% or the 25.2% that we saw in 2020 and 2019 respectively. But yes, you're probably going to get some regression, but still a really, really nice player. A player that if everything goes right and guys aren't having insane years around the league, that he will be in the MVP conversation for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. So a monster year last season for Matt Olson. He's taken that all-star leap, and he's a great player. He's had some nice seasons before 2021, but the difference is he's a great player, but Freddie Freeman is the more proven player. He's the more proven commodity in the postseason. My concern with Matt Olson is you might see some of that regression. You might see those strikeout numbers go up. Now, he did tons of work with that high-velocity pitching machine. He's seen the results, but is it going to be permanent for Matt Olson? That'd be my big big question, whereas with Freddie Freeman, he's a made man. He is an MVP player, and you're going to get that production if you sign him. But when it comes to the prospect capital he's going to command, I think it comes down to, one, are the Dodgers going to try to get more bang for their buck? Are they going to try to get Olson and one of their starters, the Montazes, the Basses, the Manayas? And if that's the case, the Dodgers would likely have to include some of their top prospects along with Gavin Lux and maybe a Tony Gonsolin and a Phil Bickford like Jim Bowden was talking about. And let's say the Braves do re-sign Freddie Freeman and he goes back to Atlanta like everyone expected. Well, then you'll see the Yankees and the Dodgers possibly competing for some of these A's players. And if that's the case, the price will go up and you will see the Dodgers have to include guys like Ryan Pepio and Gavin Lux and Landon Knack, some of their top prospects and some of their better big league ready players, the Tony Gonsolins of the world, who I think really looks like an Oakland A's player, maybe the Phil Bickford type. So they are going to want some of the Dodgers' best players, but if you can get a pitcher along with Matt Olson, like we saw what the Dodgers were able to do with Max Scherzer and Trey Turner for their top two prospects, you get the true value and bang for your buck, then it's a deal I see them potentially making if they can't land any of these other guys through free agency. The Matt Olson, but let me know down below in the comments section. Do you want to see the Dodgers trade for Matt Olson? Who would you be comfortable giving up? Let me know down below. And who would you rather see? The Dodgers pay big money for Freddie Freeman or get 2 years of Matt Olson after having to give up some big prospects? But for me, I think you can't trade the Gavin Lux trade chip unless it's for a starting pitcher. For me, that is the big kicker. You can't give him up for a player that's more of a luxury than a necessity, even though the Dodgers do need to address that left-handed bat. But let me know down below. My name is D-Mac. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all things Dodger baseball, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. For our latest Dodgers Nation merch, head over to GearUp.LA. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.